It's your boy 50 Shakes of Whey, and we're back with another video. This time we're talking about mini cuts. Your boy has put on a whole bunch of weight. We've had way too many night owl cookies. We've been eating out way too much. We've been giving zero, quite frankly, and it's time to scale things back with a mini cut. But before I dive into this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps the channel a lot and it motivates me to make these type of videos. So without further ado, let's talk about mini cuts. So what is a mini cut in the first place? Well, a mini cut is essentially exactly how it sounds. It's just a short fat loss phase. Typically though, it is done during a bulking cycle, and typically it is done when body fat starts to get a little bit too high, you start to feel a little bit sluggish. These are the signs that I have been experiencing thus far, and that's why I've been motivated to undergo a mini cut myself. Now, even though we are doing an abbreviated fat loss phase, I still like to think about it in the sense that we're still making muscle building and putting on strength and size and all the things that we're trying to do on the bulk, we're still making that a priority. The fat loss that is gonna come with a mini cut is only secondary to the things that we want to do with the overall goal of bulking and putting on that size and strength. So making the mini cut a secondary priority in the grand scheme of your bulk is going to allow you to not undo all the changes and all the progress that you've made on the bulk of putting on that size, that strength, which can be diminished if you do a mini cut very aggressively. So when should you implement a mini cut? Well, personally, there's no specific guidelines that I use to implement a mini cut for myself. I kind of auto-regulate them, and I go based off of two specific factors. Number one, I have a specific weight cap for myself that I don't really want to pass. I know from personal experience, if I'm over 210 pounds, I don't really put on that much more muscle past that point. I'm just accumulating body fat, and that's just gonna make it harder for me to lean down when I transition to a cutting phase. Number two thing that I look for is how I am feeling. If I'm starting to feel like I'm a lot more sluggish, I'm losing a lot of energy, I want to take multiple naps during the day because I'm just feeling tired, that's another sign in conjunction with hitting that weight cap that will reinforce that decision for me to do a mini cut. Whatever you do though, please do not implement mini cuts too frequently during your bulking cycle. I see this all the time and it drives me completely crazy, where people will bulk for 1 or 2 months, then they'll cut for 1 or 2 months, and ultimately you are going nowhere. You are going to stagnate. Remember that the mini cut is secondary to the bulking process, and thus is going to be a very small portion of your overall bulking cycle. So let's talk about strategies that you can use to really optimize your mini cut. Strategy number one, take your time. The slower that you go with your mini cut, the more muscle you are going to preserve, and you're also going to preserve your performance in the gym, which is in turn not going to allow you to undo all the progress that you've made so far with your bulk. The second strategy that I have for you guys is focusing on making habitual and behavioral small changes into your daily routine, as opposed to making drastic cuts to your calorie intake. You want to do things like, for example, increasing your NEAT or your activity outside of the gym by parking your car a little bit farther away from the location that you're going to, going on more walks either by yourself or with your dog, trying to increase your step count throughout the day by just consciously moving more throughout the day. These are the things that you want to prioritize, as opposed to making these drastic cuts to your calorie intake. Now, on the dieting side of things, doing simple things like going for lower calorie dressings as opposed to regular dressings. So for example, if you're gonna go for, if you like putting honey mustard, let's say, or mayonnaise on your food, just going for a light mayonnaise, a light honey mustard dressing, as opposed to going for the full-blown one will save you a bunch of calories. Utilizing cooking sprays like olive oil or cooking oil spray as opposed to the actual oils. these will save you a lot of calories. They're very easy to implement into your routine where you don't have to utilize a lot of willpower, a lot of thought behind them, where it will just be very simple and easy to put into your routine. Number 3, going for nutritionally dense foods as opposed to calorie dense foods. So foods that have a higher protein and fiber intake as opposed to foods that don't have so much protein and fiber and actually leave you craving for more of those foods where they're easy to overeat. And the last strategy that I would implement, kind of also as a last resort, would be to sprinkle in some light cardio. Now remember the whole point of the video, guys. The mini cut is still secondary to the process of bulking. So this is a light, steady state cardio that you can implement either at the beginning of your day, post-workout, on an active rest day. The cardio that you're doing should not impede your performance. You should not be going balls to the wall, really hard hit workouts that are gonna impede your performance from your weight training workouts. This is just light, what I like to call calorie burning, so that you're just burning a few extra calories intentionally, and thus you are gonna be a lot easier to get into that calorie deficit. So these were my tips and tricks on mini cuts. I hope you did in fact enjoy the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. This is your boy 50 Shakes of Whey, and we're signing off. Bam.